On Barnstable Today, Town Council President joins us with the agenda for tonight's meeting, and we sit down with the school superintendent to learn more about the vision for the future and programs and services coming soon. Now, for a look at municipal and legislative notes. The Town of Barnstable will continue the MVP certification process by presenting and distributing a draft of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Report to the public at a formal public information and listening session scheduled for June 11th at 5 p.m. at Town Hall. This program provides support for towns in Massachusetts to plan for and implement projects that mitigate the impacts of climate change and natural hazards. Communities that complete the MVP program become certified as an MVP community and are eligible for state grant funding and other opportunities. This session will provide an opportunity for any member of the interested public to learn more about the MVP process and provide feedback about the MVP workshop and recommended highest priority actions resulting from the workshop. No registration is required. Jim Crocker, Town Council President, joins us with highlights from this evening's agenda, a Joint Base Cape Cod update, and the remaining operating items for fiscal year 2020, the school and police budgets. Town Council Thursday night with me, President Jim Crocker. Big meeting coming up on this Thursday, 7 p.m. Be there, be square, but what's on the agenda?
Well, I got to tell you, we always get a visit from Joint Base Cape Cod, which some of us old Cape Cod say Otis Air Force Base. Right. But this year it's never been a bigger time to bring them in and have a discussion with them. And it's always got to be about procedural issues, but don't forget, they're the group that helped us settle the police shooting range and police exercises. They're the ones that are working with us on the county for the movement of the fire district, which is, I should say, the fire training exercise area. Right. And lastly, we sent in our letter of intent to work with them for the regional septic issue and water issues with them. So this time they come in, we got lots to talk about, and we're excited. And the counselors don't generally get involved at this level, so this will be the first time the counselors will really get to let them know. We understand what's coming, we're grateful for what we've gotten, and we're not through. We've got to solve this regional wastewater issue. Right. And just to recap for folks, the new police academy is up on Joint Base Cape Cod. It is operational as of July 1st, I believe it was. Talking to Chief Sonnabend, this is just something that the department has needed for years. Yeah, it's exciting. We'll put more boots on the ground for the police department. And then the county fire has been a hot button issue. We know it needs to move, and this is a perfect opportunity to have those conversations. If we resolve this, we might be able to give you some time off, because it's been such a hot issue for all of us. Right, exactly. I mean, there's nothing bigger right now, obviously, right. and what we're addressing with that. Right, and then, that flows water right into regional wastewater, trying to solve that conundrum of, up or down, which way do sewers and lines go, and being able to tap into that system up there. Well, you're not wrong, because the opportunity is immense. What happens is, even though Barnstable is like the 4th largest landmass in the state, we still are having trouble finding areas to discharge clean water. Right. We have the ability at our facility to clean more water, but we don't have a place to discharge the water. So the pitch and catch isn't quite the same. Right. When you start talking about Joint Base Cape Cod, you're talking about a group that is always seeing their funding in a flux. So they're putting less people on the base at times, so their septic system is not operating correctly because they don't have the flows they should. So they also are in need of having someone like us with stability and with practice. And we really run the biggest sewer plant on Cape Cod, right. And we're excited about that opportunity, because what it does, we had the opportunity to have Sandwich take it to their voters. They allowed us to transport easements in the road to get sewer to Base Cape Cod. Right. And now it's time to do the regional thing, and the regional thing will be the only opportunity to see both state and federal funding. Right. As a possibility for us, exactly. For our solution. And also really solves that 3 bays area. It doesn't solve it. I'll rephrase that. It will help that area. Trying to get sewer in the western part of town has been something that everybody's grappled with, and how is that going to happen? So well, a lot of people think the council at times has kicked the can down the road on the sewer issue, and it's really not about kicking the can as much as having no financial solutions available. So when you have the chance to talk about bringing in someone like Joint Base Cape Cod, 3 or 4 other towns to participate with you, it has to be our best argument ever to get state and federal funding to assist us in a regional resolve.
That's fantastic. And also on the agenda, the first reading on a sewer project.
Yeah, it's exciting. I believe we're in the neighborhood of $7 or $8 million for the first phase of, first read only, but the first phase of expansion. That, of course, will be greatly discussed in the 20th meeting of June. So we will have that underway. And this is all part of, every time you put together a comprehensive sewer plan, everybody who's done it has never had funding addressed. We're saying, you know what, we're going to put our plan forward, but we're going to have funding addressed perhaps quite a bit of it before the plan. And we're telling you, we've got these votes, we intend to complete these tasks, because sewer doesn't happen overnight. You know, the permits are a year plus in time, and then the process is another year plus in the build out. So we're trying to say we have a comprehensive plan, we have funding in place, we have the commitment of this council, and we're going to solve our problems finally. Barnstable solves Barnstable problems.
Right, and this particular project is somewhat of a public-private partnership with Cape Cod 5's new pump station coming online. Some of these projects that were in that area, Finney's Lane and
Yes.
around there, can actually become more of a reality, like you said, with funding. Some of that's already been solved.
Well, that's really where we have a chance. If we get our new sewer lines all the way down to Route 28 and we give opportunities for our commercial district, then we will find that we may not have to pay 100% of the infrastructure, and that there may be a balance here at some point. The Cape Cod 5 issue brought about 3 or 4 steps that made us really revisit how we intended to develop that side. And the biggest thing we did was divert what we were originally trying to do into a new theory where we slid to both sides of 132 so our connection could be made easily by business. And let's see if business is really ready to step up, take their part, and in return have an opportunity on their sites.
That's fantastic. And then the last of the budget.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
up next? The big boys?
The big boys, this is big time money. I mean, you're really talking over 60% of the budget goes out to schools, so they're coming our way. And we also have a very large piece of our puzzle when you're talking in the town itself, and that's the police budget. So we've got some of the big boys left in tap, but we've accomplished a tremendous amount. That was the largest capital budget ever, and now we're on operations, and we've really knocked off quite a few of them. I'm suspecting that we will finish this week, which is very nice for us. That's greatly ahead of schedule in a normal format.
Right, and that fiscal year is looming very quickly.
It is. It's around the corner. You know, who would have guessed, right? We're talking
Right.
2020. Here we go.
Exactly. So 7 p.m. On the 6th of
Yeah.
June, second floor hearing room, or live on Channel 18.
Yeah, and don't forget, Joint Base Cape Cod is on the first part of the meeting, so if you just get a chance to sit in for something, sit in for that, because that's really an interesting part, and they've been very helpful to us this year.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks. Nice to have you.
Barnstable Public Schools Superintendent joins us for her quarterly interview. Initiatives from elementary to high school and a recap of this past school year and what's ahead for the fall. With me today, Superintendent Meg Mayo-Brown. It's the end of the school year, but the school year never ends for the superintendent.
No, it does not.
So many initiatives, so many things going on. But first, congratulations on another graduation at BHS.
Yes, it was a wonderful event. I love hearing the students give their speeches, and there's nothing like seeing 300 and so students cross that stage.
As well as the fourth of yours.
That's right. Yep, I have 444, and what was interesting this year was we had the children of 3 school committee members, the principal, and myself, all graduating seniors this
Oh my
year.
goodness.
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah, so it's a privilege to watch everybody cross the stage, and a special day to watch your own as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, lots of initiatives
Yes.
out there, moving parts. So let's start at the pre-K level. There's a new center that's being developed and ready to open probably midsummer. Talk about that.
So the Family and Community Engagement Center, we're able to partner with the town of Barnstable. Mark Ells has just been a super partner in this work. We came to him a number of months ago and said, listen, we really need a place where our families can go for one-stop services for Barnstable Public Schools. And he suggested the Hyannis Youth and Community Center, so we'll open up an office there July 1st. Previously, what we've been asking our families to do was to go from school to school to school, depending on how many children you had, to register. This way they can go to one place to do registration if they're new to Barnstable, but we think HYCC is also a great resource for our families to get to know. And so we're excited to be opening that up. The school committee approved a new position, a director of family and community engagement. That's been one of their 3 priority areas for the district, is to expand community partnerships. So in addition to running registration, this individual who will also support increased volunteerism in our schools. We've modeled that after Falmouth's VIPS program, Volunteers in Public Schools, so we're really great that we have a model that we can replicate here in the town of Barnstable.
That's fantastic. And moving, kindergarten registration is still ongoing.
It is, and we certainly want to encourage our families to register if they haven't. We're noticing that, and it's typical, a lot of families are waiting until August to register, but we do open it up in March so we can get a sense of our kindergarten numbers and plan appropriately for that. And our registrations are a little down, so I think that's just us needing to get the word out that registration is open and to encourage all families to register their kindergarten students.
Right. The summer will go by so fast that you want to get it done now and enjoy the summer and not really have to, oh my goodness, I have to register.
Exactly. And then that way we can share with families the name of their kindergarten teachers, and I think it just helps transition students into kindergarten when you have a good sense of who your teacher is, where the school is, and we can do some transition work with our students that way.
Excellent. And rolling right into our elementary schools, there's a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah.
You've got some principal searches and maker spaces. And
Oh, yeah.
So let's run down the line.
Sure, a lot going on there. So we're in the midst of 2 principal searches, one for West Village's elementary school and the other for the Barnstable Community Innovation School. So we have are through the initial application process phase. We're getting some feedback from school faculty and staff, particularly at the Barnstable Community Innovation School. We have 2 finalists that we've presented to families and staff, and I'm getting some feedback. So we hope by the end of June to make both of those appointments for each school. So more to come on that.
More to come on that, but more importantly is the name change and the school format change for the Innovation School is going to happen June 30th.
That's right. So as of June 30th, the Barnstable Community Horace Mann Charter Public School will transition to Barnstable Community Innovation School. And that's something that we've been working on all this past academic year with an innovation planning committee, which is in large part the teachers at the school currently developed an innovation plan that was approved by the school committee. And the exciting news about that is that the plan focuses on project-based learning. So that's a great opportunity to have some interdisciplinary work done for kids to focus on projects within the school. So that's their innovation, and we're really excited to support them in that process. Our goal through the transition was to keep teachers in place, support staff in place, students who are already attending, no shifts in any of that. Again, the shift is really around the governance model. So rather than having a board of trustees, the school is, this local school committee, Barnstable School Committee oversees the school, as do I. So that's the governance. People should notice the shift in that. But other than that, the day-to-day goings-on of the school should be pretty much the same, with the emphasis on project-based learning this time.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
And then we go into the West schools. We have BWB with possible makerspace coming in.
Oh, yes. So BWB was the recipient of a $10,000 some funding from the town. And in speaking with Beth Forbes, the principal over there, I knew she was a little envious of Centerville's makerspace. So I said, would you want to think about using that funding to have your makerspace at Barnstable West Barnstable? She said, absolutely. So that work is underway, and There's I would say, a healthy competition sometimes between Centerville and BWB because both principals are sort of enjoy each other's work at the school and are always, collaborating to do that work together.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, High West, one of the busier elementary schools I've been to in our course of the work
Right.
with Channel 18,
Yeah.
is Kathy's going to get a little bit of help.
She is. Hyannis West is one of our larger elementary schools. It serves a large population of students who are learning English. So many diverse needs going on at the school, and what I had presented to the school committee was a request to support Kathy with an assistant principal. And again, we're excited that the assistant principal will be Mr. Eric Curry. Some families may know Mr. Curry from his role as a housemaster at Barnstable High School. So he's making this very big shift from teenagers to young elementary students. But I think what's great about that transition for him is Eric is trilingual. So he speaks Spanish, Portuguese, obviously English, but in terms of supporting the student population at High West, it's a perfect match.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's move right into intermediate school.
Yes, so intermediate school, there's certainly a lot going on there in terms of, we've received 2 large grants to focus more on career awareness for students. So we don't want our students to be waiting until they get to high school to really have some career exploration. So we received a $100,000 planning grant and then another $80,000 planning grant to support teachers and administrators at the school to really rethink and reimagine how we can help students understand what the career opportunities are and do a little bit of exploratory work in that area. Now that funding is on top of a $150,000 grant we received from Mass Ideas in order to redesign and reimagine what middle school could look like. So there are a number of subcommittees going on, state convenings where our teams go to think what are some of the best practices, because quite frankly, right, school looks like school did 100 years ago. We know we need to innovate around that, have a different experience for students, and so that's an 18-month planning grant, but we're very optimistic on the other side of that 18 months will be a new way of teaching and learning at Barnstable Intermediate School.
That's really exciting.
I think so.
Part of that whole career exploration, obviously, you said it happens in the 6th and 7th grades.
Yes.
Why is that more important than in the high school, opening their eyes that young?
Well, I think it starts the pathway or trajectory of trying to understand what careers exist. And so we can do that career exploration with 6th and 7th graders. So by the time they're entering Barnstable High School, they can think more about what pathway, because Barnstable High School is doing some pathway work in terms of identifying for students, here's a sequence of courses or a trajectory of courses that you could take that would better align with your career interest. Whether that's in something in the sciences or in the humanities, I think our families will start to see that Barnstable High School is getting more articulate in the program of studies about what pathways are and how students can align themselves to a pathway. So that work in 6th and 7th grade is very, exploration. So by the time, and believe me, we're not asking kids pick a career when you're in high school. We're just saying we can offer you some opportunities to learn something that might be better matched with your interest. So that work is ongoing, and the communication between the intermediate school and the high school for both staff and students, we want to see more of a through line between the two schools. And we have this incredible internship program at the high school where our senior internship opportunity students are matched out to various employers, community service organizations, and others, and they just have this amazing experience in their senior year. So if we can get probably more efficient and effective in terms of helping students see that pathway to their senior internship and build upon it starting in 6th grade, that's our goal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And finally, not least though, Barnstable High School also with some changes this year.
Yes, so one of the things we did this year was study the leadership structure at the high school, because we always want to be sure that our schools are designed in the best way possible to support teaching and learning. And Barnstable High School has had a very traditional model of principal, assistant principal, 5 housemasters, and then obviously other positions that support that. So we wanted to take a look at to see if the way that was organized really was in service to students and teachers. So we studied it for the year. We went out to see other schools to see, we went to Everett, who has a great career pathway program. We learned a lot from them, how they run their pathways. We went to Waltham, just again to get a sense, Woburn, just to get a sense, what are other high school models looking like? We did a literature review to see what are some best practices around organizing a school in terms of the leadership, but most importantly, we surveyed the staff and said, what do you need? How can we better support you? And so working in a group of, there are about 12 of us that worked through that, looked at the survey data, looked at what other schools are doing and thought, okay, we think we need to redesign how that's done at Barnstable High School. So we proposed about everything. What is it that happens in a high school in terms of leadership? And then that really lent itself to knowing that, okay, we think we need someone to be sort of the lead in terms of curriculum instruction and assessment, be the lead in student support, and be the lead in management and operations. Because one of the things we took away from the survey is teachers were saying, listen, we really need to know who to go to for what, because those areas right now are kind of spread across a number of people. So we've posted for an associate principal for student support, an associate principal for management and operations, and then Scott Pye, who's the assistant principal, will be the assistant principal for curriculum instruction. And then with the associate principal for student support, we'll have 3 deans. So we're moving away from this housemaster model to a dean model, and so that will begin in September. Now, Principal Clark is very committed to having the least disruption to students. So right now, students are organized by houses. That will change, but we're trying to keep students with their counselors. So there's not this disruption in the relationship with the school counselor.
So much going on.
There is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. And, I just come back to the, when I started as a superintendent here July of 2016, so I'm wrapping up my 3rd year, the school committee asked me to do 2 things when I came on board. One was to prepare the district for changing demographics. And so we're doing that work. As, so I was just looking at the data the other day. We have a 35% increase in English language learners in the district over the past 5 years. We have about a 15% increase in students who are identified as economically disadvantaged, right? So the school committee was very accurate in their foreshadowing, knowing that the district was changing and that we need to do a number of these initiatives to do that. And then the second thing they asked me to do was really to return the district to a school system rather than a number of schools with their own site-based management, right? So sort of pulling it back so that particularly our students who go to the 5 elementary schools, when they hit 4th grade at Barnstable United, that they have a consistent experience among the 5. So that's been much of this work over the past 3 years, which has led to a lot of different initiatives. But we're trying to say to folks, now at this point as we enter next year, much of those sort of new initiative feel should settle, and now we can really focus on supporting everyone within the initiatives that we've started over the past 3 years.
Right. And those initiatives, does that kind of come into maybe perhaps a rebranding of the district?
It does, and thank you for asking about that, because we've been working with someone to create an identity for Barnstable Public Schools, and I'm going to share some of that work at an upcoming school committee meeting. So we're going to have a new logo, sort of a new messaging around Barnstable Public Schools, because we really haven't, we haven't, I think our identity has changed. The school committee probably 2 years ago established a new vision, new core values. So we're trying to align our branding with those core values and vision.
And the last is 90 days is how long these kids are out of school. What's your advice for parents and children to kind of keep that sharpness?
Right.
It's something that happens every September. Yep. Is we've not really had any reading or mathematics or something like that. Right. Over the summer. Right. What are some key points that people want to remember?
Well, we certainly want our students to have fun in the summer, right? But we also, one of the best pieces of advice I can give to parents is really to encourage summer reading. To engage your children in no matter their age, if you're going to the beach, take that book to the beach, the reading really helps. A number of our schools also have online software that students can access over the summer, particularly in math. So, you know, again, we don't want to, there is such a thing as summer learning loss. We know kids come in with less than they left in June, but I think to the extent that parents can support reading, doing some of the online programming that schools have been offering through the year, will support less of a summer learning loss.
And maybe a science and experience in how ice cream melts.
That too.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Meg.
Thank you.
Reminder, Town Council meets tonight, 7 p.m., second floor hearing room, Barnstable Town Hall, or live on Channel 18. Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Barnstable Recreation Division Summer Leisure Program Parent Orientation is next Saturday, June 15th at the West Barnstable Community Building, Route 149 in West Barnstable. It's from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Meet the site directors and assistants and the nurse. Come with questions you may have, learn about field trips, beach trips, and discipline policy. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.